Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask Talk Show. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is Bridging Communities. Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask Talk Show. Today's, ladies and gentlemen, the show is Bridging Communities. And we have with us the executive director herself, Darchelle Strickland Love. Good afternoon, Darchelle.
How are you, Marcia?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Good, good. I'm glad you're here with us today because, Darchelle, this is our new season, and we're glad to have you come in and join us. And we know that you are the new executive director of Bridging Community. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement with Bridging.
I'll tell you, I started with Bridging in April of this year. So it's been sort of a short tenure, but a really intense and information-packed period. So much to learn, wonderful staff, great programs. And it's just really interesting because I had not heard of Bridging Communities until I saw a job posting. I was looking for something to do that would be impactful to the community, and this fit the bill. And so I was very happy when I was selected for this position. Working with the staff there, great team that handles elder care services, largely connecting seniors with resources that they need for everyday life. Mm-hmm. And then the other side is our housing repair side that uses funds from various funders, City of Detroit, the state, and we use those funds to help individuals receive home repairs that they otherwise would not be able to afford.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, now, Darchelle, you come from corporate, more or less. So how did you switch from corporate life to, nonprofit? Because normally corporate people are really like straight to the point, what they say, straight with no chaser. And people in the nonprofit, have a compassion and feel like, it's got to have a tear maybe to it or a story behind it. How did you switch from corporate to nonprofit?
Believe it or not, the switch was not drastic. It was not a drastic switch. I started in public health, go figure. Had a chance to work for Dennis Archer when he was elected mayor in 1993. Stayed there for a while. Transitioned over to work with the City of Detroit's cable station, produced on-camera talent, edited video, all of that. I did everything but shoot. Went back into government work as a chief of staff for an interim mayor. Transitioned to Mayor Bing, and then later on after that I went to work as the deputy director for, the deputy city manager for the city of Berkeley. So it was not a corporate in here. I did work for a corporation for a while. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I am a straight no chaser kind of person. Okay. I get right to the point. But I think I don't see that as a bad thing because it's all about how you value the people you work with and how you value the work that you do. So the compassion is there. This was an opportunity to do something that would be meaningful for the community. I was born and raised in Detroit. I've heard many, many seniors say, and I'm one of them, say, if it wasn't for the seniors, Detroit would not be here. And that's very, very, very
that's
true.
True. Yeah.
So having the opportunity to give something, help them out, was the thing that really appealed to me about this position.
Great, great. And knowing that, you're the incoming executive director, was there you could see the shift in the staff saying, this person's coming from a different division than what we're accustomed to?
Of course, there is that. And you know Phyllis Edwards. She is a very dynamic person. She is everywhere.
Okay.
Knows everybody. And my task really is to take bridging communities in its current state, stay the course, and enhance wherever possible. So making things better for the staff, putting programs in place that really help the people that we want to reach.
Okay, okay. And that, you know, that's perfectly fine because as you grow within the organization yourself, you can see where changes need to be made, okay? And definitely see where there's an increase in services for the elderly population. So is it just the elderly population you guys serve, or is it a combination of family?
It's a bit of both. On the elder care side of the house, we cater strictly to seniors age 60 and up. And we have a specific area that we serve. It's 8 zip codes. On the housing side, we are a housing counseling center for the city of Detroit. So it's programs from all over the city. They send us clients, and we work with them to get their repairs done that are needed. So when you look at a senior who may live in the community, who may have neighbors perhaps who are not seniors that are also income eligible, our housing team can help with those programs should they qualify. So think about it like, as we age, we all want to age well and be able to take care of ourselves until that day we go to Jesus, okay? And in order to do that, you sometimes need help. Some people are a little better off than others, but those who are not as well off, we want to be that support system for them where we can. Now, we can't help everybody, but we help those who we can help.
Okay, okay. Well, most definitely, for the history that I know of bridging, you guys have done a wonderful job. And, you know, people just like, oh, now I heard about them, and can I get my snow removed? Can I get a window put back in? It's a lot of things that go on. So I tell you what, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of them catchment areas so people know just how to get in contact with bridging and learn more about you. We'll be right back.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
And welcome back to the second half of the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just not tuning in, you know me, I always like to give you some resources. So we have the new Executive Director of Bridging Communities here, Darchelle Strickland Love, and she's giving us some insight on what they do over there at Bridging. And so some of you should have a pen and a piece of paper because you know you have questions or you want to see if you're eligible for some of these services. Now I'm going to read off to you these zip codes and let you know that there's a catchment. Is it called catchment area that people?
We just call it our service area.
Okay, service areas. So, you know, some of you are like, okay, no telling where you are. You're saying, can they help me over here? But I can tell you this, after I read you these zip codes, if you're not in that service area, I'm sure that they will still be willing to refer you to their neighboring resources that they communicate with and collaborate. So don't look at it, ladies and gentlemen, like, oh, I can't get any help. Yes, you can. There's a lot of services, senior services and family providing services out here that will help. And if you're not sure, you can give us a call, 1-800-323-5336, justasktalkshow.org, or 1-800-323-5336, and we will definitely send a message to Darchelle, or we'll send it to another agency, whoever we can help you get some services. So, Darchelle, I do have the zip codes of the areas that you're service providing. So that's 48204, 06, 08, 09, 10, 16, 17, and 38. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, that's 48204, 48206, 48208, 48209, 48210, 48216, 48217, and 48238. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so if someone lives in those service providing areas, they can call because what? They're in the areas that you guys service.
They're in the areas that we serve.
Okay.
And I will tell you that the programs that we offer do have income eligibility requirements. So a person may call for a certain thing, they may not be eligible, but what we try to do is connect them to an agency that can help them. So
Okay.
it's not something like you call and we say, nope, can't help you, that's it. We do try to connect you to other partners that we work with who can be of service to
Okay.
them.
So when people call, what kind of services do they normally ask for?
They either ask for assistance with food, sometimes it's helping them work through an issue with their utility bills. Sometimes it's a Medicare question. We have caseworkers who will sit with them and go through the process. A lot of applications now are automated.
Oh, yeah.
So our staff will sit with the senior, help them get an email address so that they can enroll in whatever program they want to enroll in.
I think that's a lot of pressure put on elderly individuals to be computer savvy or to even, be bothered with the computer. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I think there should be like a different separate customer service line so that those who are not computer savvy or don't have access or can't leave home can actually still get the same resources by connecting over the phone, and information is, handled, processed over the phone. Because what happens when a person is bedbound?
They depend on family members or caregivers to make those connections for them. We have not done a lot with home. I should say bedridden.
Okay.
Because as a rule, they tend to be in facilities that give them round-the-clock care. But our focus is really on helping seniors age in place. So if you know the stories about my mama bought this house and I lived in this house, and so I live here until whatever, and I pass it on to my kids. When you get to that age, the house is paid off. You can afford that house, right? You just got to pay your utilities, deal with the maintenance, feed yourself, right? So we try to put the services around the seniors to help them live a quality of life. If they need food, we connect them with food resources. If they need a ride to the doctor, we can do that too.
Okay.
If they need minor repair, we can help with that.
So what's minor repair?
Well, it could be something as simple, this is the real thing, something as simple as getting a light bulb changed.
That is simple. Okay.
But I mean, if you're not a person with a tall stature, changing a light bulb can sometimes be a little bit challenge. And possibly getting on a ladder or a step stool might not be the safest way for you to do that. So it makes sense that you'd ask for help, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes a hole in the wall and you need plastering done. Sometimes a new light switch. I'm saying small things
Right.
like that.
Broken window. Steps.
Screens repaired, yeah.
Right, step damage. So now, does Bridging still work with quite a few volunteers that are willing to do work like that? So I know one while Bridging had a selective group of volunteers who were retirees from various components of work history. You guys still work with people who would like to volunteer their time?
Yes, we are actually recategorizing our volunteers so that we can better utilize them for the services or the help that seniors need. So for example, we have a number of people who are like handymen, handy women, who could go in and fix a broken something or change a light switch or things like that. And so we'll be connecting them to seniors who need those particular skills.
Yeah, and that's important because a lot of times somebody say if they say out loud, "I sure wish somebody could come over here and fix that screen door," and they have no idea where to go and who to call, and then when they do call, they're intimidated that the strangers coming to the house. So how do you guys have the volunteers be recognized as volunteers or people from Bridging working along with you to make sure that that's a secure relationship between the resident and the volunteer?
We do a couple of things. We do background checks on our volunteers. We want to make sure that we don't compromise the safety of our seniors. And then we make sure that we talk to people and say, this person is coming, he's going to show you his ID, or however, so that the senior has a sense of safety that this is the right person or the person who's been sent to help them.
Right, right. And that's important because now we have overabundance of scams of all kinds. And seniors are so vulnerable that it's like they just open the door and say, come on in, not knowing that that's the wrong person that's coming in, but just because you were told earlier somebody's going to come by and do something, but the wrong person came to the door first and you didn't know the difference or didn't even think that there somebody would do something like that. So in the instance that there's a home repair, do you guys have like a order what it is that they're fixing, and then they come back and say this is what was repaired, or if there's a cost involved, how do you guys relate to that if there's a cost involved?
If there's a cost involved, Bridging Communities will pay for whatever the materials are that's needed
Okay.
to do the repair. So the volunteer is not coming out of his pocket to do that too. That's the first thing. Secondly, we talk to the senior and get a good idea of what it is that's needed, and someone actually goes to assess what the need is, so that we're not sending a volunteer to do a repair that's this big when the repair is this big. So you see what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? So we try to do a good job of screening the actual need and being clear about what we're going to ask a volunteer to do.
Okay, all right, and that makes sense. I'm just, you know what, someone at home is asking these questions. My mom, like you said, my mom's lived in this house for over 50 years, and the house is still standing, but it needs some repairs. And so how do I get someone to come to my mom's house and, do some minor repairs? So is there, like you say, a go-between person that goes out and does the assessment before the volunteer goes?
For the small repairs, yes.
Okay, okay. But if it's something major, do you guys still assist in some way?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It all depends really on, well, let me back up a little bit. Our programs are funded by, or some of our programs are funded by the City of Detroit, LISC, and some with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. And so to the extent that the program has criteria, who's eligible for the repair, there's a dollar limit for it, the types of repairs that can be done. We facilitate access to those programs for folks who are eligible to be served. Okay, so there is a criteria. If you don't meet the criteria, we can't bend the rules because the money is given to us to use the way it was intended from the agency giving us the money. So we have that limitation, if you will. However, once you qualify, and if what you need is on that list of eligible repairs, we work with contractors and the homeowner to prioritize repairs, because sometimes what's needed is this big and the fund might not be as large. So we have to prioritize what can be paid for from the fund and then connect the homeowner with a contractor who can actually go and do the repairs.
Okay, all right. I mean, somebody just want to know because somebody's got a furnace issue. Just saying. What about medical equipment? Do you guys do anything with durable medical equipment? Wheelchairs, ramps, or anything like that?
We have in the past kept a supply of medical equipment that people had donated, and so if somebody needed, wheelchair or something like that, but there's not a lot of that left right now. COVID really sort of did away with a lot of things. And so we're still reacting and recovering from that as well. Okay.
But all that, makes sense, Darchelle, because with COVID, there's such a, it was such a bad situation that it was, everyone was affected. There was no separation from the seniors, from the disabled persons, from the family all together. And because a family might be spread out and they couldn't go see their loved one, or their loved one's in the hospital and you couldn't go. Even my family was affected by COVID very bad. And it's just like we're coming out from under it now, and people are looking for things. They're looking for help. They're looking for resources, and they're trying to mend themselves back together and bring their families back together. So with all that being said, I'm honored to have you here to talk about bridging, because, we're going into we're trying to come out of a tough time and go back into a more smoother transition of being together as one, as people, instead of just all over the place and being fearful of the conditions that are out here. And because COVID was COVID was just, I mean, it's not over, but, just looking at it like, we have the mask one day, we don't have the mask the next day. You have the mask in a certain environment, you don't have the mask in a certain environment. But we have to be mindful that it doesn't go away, it just goes down some, and you still need to take care of yourself and business too.
True. That's very
Okay,
true.
yeah, so we're on the up, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the up. So on that note, we'll be right back. We're on the up.
If you love them enough to do this, surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
And welcome back to the last half of the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, get your pen and paper out, okay? So if you have a question for any one of the guests that you see on Just Ask, give us a call, 1-800-323-5336. 1-800-323-5336, and you can see it at the bottom of the screen, okay? So always remember, when you see someone on our show, we're more than happy to get your question over to them, and they're more than happy to respond. So today, our guest, Darchelle Strickland Love from Bridget Communities, she's one of those people who are willing to help in these situations when we're talking about our seniors, our disabled population, the general public. We have questions, they have answers, and resources, okay? So, Darchelle, I wanted to let the people know that they can actually reach out to you and get some questions answered, and hey, you never know. You never know. So thank you so much. So I wanted to start off, we do have some photos here that we wanted to go over. So I think the first photo is, you guys have movies on the park, and this is such a lovely photo. So and it's not a brand new park, but tell us a little bit about the park.
One of the very cool things about Bridging Communities is it has this green space that's sort of around the work building. So what a good use of that space was to have movies on the green. It was a once a year, maybe twice in the summertime, opportunity for families to come, have some food, watch a movie, fellowship together. It was like a community night. Well, COVID did away with all that. And so now we are considering different things to use in that space. But one of the things that I think is really, really cool about the space is the fact that we have benches there. There's a solar panel there.
I noticed that.
And if people want to charge their cell phones, if they want to hook into Wi-Fi, they have a spot to do that. If kids want to use that space to do their homework because they need to be on the internet, great place to do that. If seniors want to video chat with their families and they want to get outside and do it, they can be in that space using the infrastructure.
I mean, it's
there.
so lovely. I've had opportunity to visit that park and just walk through it, and I'm like, man, this is in in the middle of a neighborhood.
Exactly.
Okay, it's just gorgeous. So I hope you guys bring back movies on the green.
We're working on something.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
You got to skateboard, do something, move on, something on the green. Okay, now what's this picture with all these lovely faces right here, and this lady right in front? So who is this? Your team?
This is a picture from our board strategic planning retreat. Every 3 years, Bridging Communities looks at what they've done in the previous period of time and decide what's going to happen in the next period of time. So we're at the point where our current strategic plan is ending, and now it's time to think about, so what do we want to be next? How do we want to grow this thing? How do we want to move this organization forward?
Your team seems like it's a happy team, and I see that there's, like one-on-one. Is this one-on-one training or counseling with clients?
Well, we worked it out so that during the strategic planning session, our board members could actually have the opportunity to sit in groups and talk through specific issues, and then they would come back and you sort of report out. So it was an opportunity for, first of all, it was the first in-person meeting that the board had since 2020.
Oh, yeah.
So a long time. Reconnecting was really a lovely thing to see, because when you're doing things virtually, it's very static. When you see people in 3D, it's just pretty cool. So there was a lot of energy around, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah.
And then taking that energy and putting it into smaller conversations to talk about direction and process and, just what are the next things we want to accomplish.
It feels good to be up close. So now this picture here with the seniors, you guys offer a webinar.
Well, so you know that thing we talked about, the access to the internet from outside of our building? We actually conducted telehealth workshops for seniors. So sometimes seniors don't drive. They need to see a doctor. we took them through a process of what telehealth is, how you use it, how you get access to your doctor, what would a virtual exam look like. It's pretty kind of creepy, but you know, you gotta, you know, open your mouth, stick out your tongue, all that kind of stuff on video. And it was a simulation of what they could expect if they had a video chat with their doctor. Many of the seniors who came were surprised that it was that easy, and then others were a little intimidated by the technology.
Well, that's okay. The point is they're learning something new, and they still get a chance to communicate directly with the physician of their choice. So, hey, however we can get to our doctors is a plus and not a negative. So let's go to these pictures right here where you got these housing. Now, I know people's like, okay, what kind of things do they do to the housing? So I see on this first photo that you guys did, what's this, the roof and the gutters?
Yes. So in the Delray neighborhood, we're working with LISC to rehab a number of homes that's near that Gordie Howe Bridge, right? And what I'm finding, this is the really amazing thing about doing home rehabs like this. You can take a block of older homes, and every home in Detroit is, you know, most of the homes in most neighborhoods are more than 50 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And they need things, right? They need doors, they need windows, they need HVAC.
House need love.
It needs love. So we try to share the love and do what we can to improve the roof, replace windows where we can, based on the criteria, again, that we said that our funders have put in place for us.
Okay.
But when you get a block of houses and you're able to do these things, you really do change the aesthetics of a street, which is really marvelous to watch.
And that's great because I'm looking at, we're getting ready to wrap up, but I want to make sure our viewers got a chance to see the house with the windows, the before and after, and that's wonderful in itself. And then we have the house with the downspout and gutter. So really, you guys do a lot of nice things to make these homes look more livable once again.
We do our best.
Okay, all right.
And we got a good crew of contractors to work with.
Now, I was going to ask you, so, you know, I know you have some supporters that you were telling me about a little bit earlier.
A lot of our programs would not be possible without funding from a lot of different groups. DAAA, Detroit Area Agency on Agency, is one. The Kresge Foundation, Enterprise, LISC. It's a very long list. The Michigan Health Endowment Fund. We are very fortunate to be partners with some incredible groups who do really, really cool things. And they allow us, or they come to us, so that we can help our neighbors.
Okay, well, please tell everyone we thank them for having you join us today. So, Darchelle, I'm hoping that you'll come back and give us some more resources as Bridging continues to grow.
Absolutely will.
All right, and thank you so much. Okay?
Thank you, Marcia.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the scene, and you know how I am. Like I said, if you have a question for myself, you can always go to justasktalkshow.org to the website, or email me, Marcia@justasktalkshow, 1-800-323-5336 if you have a question. But keep in mind, you'll see various guests on the show each time, cooking show, fitness program, you name it, we got it. And if we don't have it, give us a call and tell us what you'd like to see on the Just Ask Talk Show. I'm your host, Marcia Florence for Just Ask, and what do I always say? If you know a person with a disability or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask, just ask. I'm your host.